I think the best way is to scale it down. If you say, how can we have a more unified nation? It's big, it's vague, it's almost impossible. It's like an intractable level. But if you scale it down, now you can come up with things. How can you have a more unified neighborhood? You could start a book club or do a block party, or you can come up with all kinds of things that you could do. And what you find is that in many cases in life, problems are intractable at a certain level, at a certain scale. And if you shift what level you're at, suddenly it reveals itself and there's a new solution. And so I think that is obviously true with big picture things like the question I was asked, but it's also true for your habits. If you think about your life in general and you say, how can I have a better life? Or how can I figure out my purpose? How can I figure out, how to have a life of meaning? These are big, hard questions. Sometimes they're almost intractable. They're too vague. They're too broad. But if you can scale it down and say, how can I live a good day today? Or how can I have a good week? How can I have, a good next hour? How can I make this minute as perfect as possible? Well, those levels are much more achievable. And so I think if you scale your habits down to a level that's more solvable, you'll often see that there's a path forward there.
What's interesting with your neighborhood analogy as well is that neighborhoods are interconnected. So if I focus on making my neighborhood good, then that kind of just crosses over with the next neighborhood, like thinking about my street where I used to live. And so if that neighborhood becomes good, it's going to then hit the next domino, which is the neighborhood next door, and then eventually
Which is also true for your personal life. Each unit of time, each little habit is connected. You put your habits together and you kind of end up with this system of behaviors that influence your day and your week. So mastering this hour makes the next hour a little bit better as well. I ultimately chose the phrase atomic habits for three reasons. So there's three meanings to the word atomic. The first is tiny or small, like an atom, which obviously I think your habits should be small and easy to do. The second meaning is the one we're talking about now and the one people often forget, which is an atom is a fundamentally unit in a larger system. So atoms build into molecules, molecules build into compounds, and so on. And your habits are kind of like the little units of your day. Collectively you put them together and you have your daily routine. And then the third meaning is the source of immense energy or power. And so if you put all three of these together, you kind of understand the narrative arc of the book, which is you make changes that are small and easy to do. You layer them together like units in a larger system. And collectively, you get this powerful, remarkable result as a process. Or as a consequence. And that is the idea behind atomic habits. You make these small changes and it's not just one, it's like 100 or 1,000 of them. And collectively they come together to create this powerful, impressive life.
Powerful, impressive life. Do you think that we should all be aiming at, this is a bit of an interesting word, but happiness? Is that the North Star that our habits should ladder up towards, or fulfillment, or whatever one might say, or meaning?
First of all, I think we should distinguish between happiness and meaning, or happiness and purpose or something, fulfillment.